The program's pause quickly erased the gains it had made in denting child poverty. When considering all Social Security recipients, the average monthly benefit in 2022, with the COLA at $1,700 in total, the number of people receiving the type of benefits is over 65 million. Of those, the bulk are receiving old age and survivors insurance, and a group that includes spouses and children of retired workers. A smaller subset is those receiving disability insurance, and this group can also include spouses and children. The SSA is responding to the highest inflation rates in 40 years, with what's expected to be the biggest COLA rise in decades. Now, the estimated adjustment next year could be up to a 9% increase based on the recent inflation data. If the figure of 8.9% holds, it would be the biggest COLA since 1981, when recipients saw an 11.2% jump. Last year, recipients received an average increase of 5.9%. The adjustment meant an increase of about $92 a month for most retired workers. Folks, do you think that President Biden will send out the fourth stimulus check in the coming days? Tell me what you think in the comments down below. So we have a ton of good news about the fourth stimulus check, folks, that I want you to know. Continue watching this video to find out the most important news. And I think that President Biden should definitely send out the fourth stimulus check because it's definitely necessary. Fourth stimulus checks will help so many people, and if you guys agree, tell me in the comments. It has been revealed that there are benefits that millions of people in low-income households have yet to claim. There are new $6,700 payments that are set to begin going out in many states across the country. The federal earned income tax credit supports millions of low-income people, but plenty of states have their own too. How much you can get depends on income and whether you have any children, with the state credit typically a lower percentage of the federal one. The earned income tax credit is said to be one of the federal government's largest refundable tax credits and has been available since 1975. During the 2020 tax year, almost 25 million eligible workers and families received more than $60 billion in federal earned income tax credit. The maximum federal credit for workers without children was around $538, but it's almost tripled to around $1,500. The expansion also made it available to younger and older adults without dependent children for the first time. It means workers ages 19 to 24 and 65 and older can claim this credit too if you need it. So folks, be sure to claim this missing stimulus money if you are eligible for it and if you want to get it. So now, the New York governor has recently announced that more than $64 million in federal funding is going to be used to provide one-time payments to struggling New Yorkers, including those with children. This is done to help them with their expenses amid the ongoing crisis. The one-time payments are earmarked to help with the cost of diapers for struggling families, food expenses for households with both children and older adults, and providing housing assistance. The funding pot is being administered via the state. In an official statement, the governor said the crisis has laid bare these inequalities and people need support. Starting this month, though, the state will issue one-time payments to all families enrolled in the Public Assistance or the SNAP program who have a child under the age of 3 years old. The families and the eligibility criteria for struggling families is that the family has to receive $140 per eligible child to assist with the cost of diapers.
I got involved in politics because I think the greatest sin that anyone can commit is the abuse of power. Whatever that power is, the power of a teacher, the power of a doctor, the power of a leader. When someone who is relying on you or you cannot, just the abuse of power. And I got involved because my state was the only state in the Union when Dr. King was murdered that was occupied by the National Guard for 10 months with drawn bayonets in every corner, because we had a very conservative governor who ordered the National Guard, and because my state is the 8th largest black population in America as a percent of population. And I had a job with one of the oldest law firms in the state, and I quit and became a public defender. That's what got me involved. But again, where teachers come in, I had no intention of running for public office. Everybody thought Biden knew he wanted to be president at the time he was in 6th grade or something. I love these biographies. But here's the deal. What I did do, I wanted to get engaged. And so we had a very, very conservative Democratic Party in my state. And I thought it was wrong on civil rights. The more progressive party was the Republican Party, because we're a Southern Democratic Party. We were a slave state, to our great shame, early on. We fought on the side of the North like Maryland did and 2 other states, but we were a border state. And that's what got me going. And so I was asked by a group of senior lawyers whether or not I'd join a thing called a New Democratic Coalition. And the reason I bothered to tell you that was how to reform the party, how to bring it into the you know, the 21st century, the 20th century at the time. And one day, after being asked to see if I could help recruit someone to run for the United States Senate against a very popular Republican senator, a group of senators, a former senator, a former congressman, two former governors came to me and said, "We want you to run."
I just take issue with the fact that we've been successful in Ukraine. One, they invaded. We told them not to. They did. They're killing people right and left, and you know, we're slow getting weapons in. I hope it turns out well. But do you think our withdrawal from Afghanistan affected Putin's decision to invade at all?
I do not, Senator. I think he looks at these things on their own terms.
Why did he pick this year?
Well, when he went into Georgia in 2008, we had more than 150,000 troops between Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah.
That did not deter him. When he went into Ukraine in 2014,
but he hasn't dismembered the state of Georgia. He's occupied. You know, there's two provinces there. But why did he choose to invade Ukraine this year, you believe?
I think a number of factors came into play. I think he saw Ukraine moving inexorably to the West, to Europe, and he saw nothing that was going to interrupt that process. It was democratizing. It was strengthening its system. And having a successful democracy on Russia's borders was bad for Putin. And he had the ambition that he said in his own words
last year,
ending its sovereignty and independence. And this was...
He doesn't recognize Ukraine as a separate nation.
That's correct.
Yeah, so it's not really about them being democratic. They've been moving toward democracy for a long time. I think he invaded this year because because he thinks he can get away with it. So very quickly, 1 minute here. China just got back from the region. The people in Taiwan are very concerned about what happens in Ukraine. Do you agree that the outcome in Ukraine can influence what China does regarding Taiwan?
I do. I think China...
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me just say, I just left an occasion where we started off by saying, Slava Ukraini.
Checks are being confirmed, everybody, from President Biden and many members in Congress. Now, the global crisis actually seems destined to make us Americans experience another year of restrictions. Stimulus checks have also been lifesavers, as we know, for many American families. And during the month of January, many will still get this benefit once again in order to help them control their finances and their way of life. There are actually countless of citizens who are in dire need of economic relief and stimulus aid. That comes with a constant cover. That comes with a crisis in the country only worsening. Now, the federal government will likely offer stimulus checks in the month of January to workers and states that have used a number of the federal